Okay.
Good afternoon, fellow Lions.
Good afternoon!
I am Lion Kevin Guest. I also happen to be your district governor, and today we're going to be having a conversation about Lions ethics and purposes, upholding values and honoring our code. Let's get started. Ethics. It's a noun described as one, moral principles that govern a person's behavior of the conducting of an activity. Two, the branch of knowledge that deals with moral principles. First question is, what does that mean to you? Welcome to today's presentation on Lions Club Ethics and Purposes. Today we'll delve into the core values that guide our Lions Clubs worldwide, and more importantly, in our clubs and district. We're going to start with a quick icebreaker. Very briefly, I want you to stand up, introduce yourselves, tell us what club you're from. We'll start over here with this gentleman over here, looks like Santa Claus.
Hi, I'm Santa Claus. Abel Cantuola. I'm from San Francisco Chinatown Lions Club, and I'm on past council chair.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lion Mary Carmelito. I'm with the Redwood Shores Lions Club, and I'm the president.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lion Narcy Cachola. I'm the treasurer of the San Francisco Lions Club.
Hi, my name is Rose Pavoni. I'm from the San Francisco Marina North Beach. I'm a service chair. Thank you.
My name, good afternoon everybody, is Lion Con Buckley. I'm the incoming president of the Boggle Lions Club.
I'm Lion Josephine Pedrales and I'm treasurer of Bago Lions.
I am Lion Renato S. Amen of the Bago Lions Club. I do not get older.
Good afternoon, I'm Lion Mario Regidor. I'm with the San Francisco Dynamic Club.
Fellow Lion, I'm Lion George from Bago Lions Club. I'm the Lion Tiger. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lion Aura Sayer from Bago Lions Club.
Good afternoon, I'm Lion Mariah Tucker. I'm with Bay Area Special Olympic Lions Club, and I am your district global service team chair.
Good afternoon, I'm Lion Denisha Young, and I belong to this, my home club is San Carlos Lions Club and Bruno.
Good afternoon, I'm Lion Yvonne Cantola from the San Francisco Chinatown Lions Club. I'm the club administrator and the district executive director.
Hello everyone, my name is Lion Olive. I'm currently the vice president of Bago Lions Club.
Good afternoon, I am Lion Denise Kelly. I am affiliated with the Daly City Host Lions Club. I'm the current club secretary and current cabinet secretary.
Good afternoon, I'm Lion Megan Smith-Ching with Bago Lions Club, and I'm the secretary.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lion Unibakwi at your service. I'm a proud member of the Bago Lions Club.
Lion Tim King, San Carlos Lions Club. I'm the IPP and the incoming treasurer.
I'm Lion Bunny Makia, and I'm the outgoing president of the Burlingame Lions Club. Finally. If you think about it, it's been 3 long years.
Hi, my name is Sophia. I'm from the Foster City Bear Island Club. I'm the treasurer.
Lion Lightwood, I'm co-founder of Bear Island Cyber Lions Club.
Everybody's tired.
Hi, I'm Corina Estigoy. I'm with the South San Francisco Golden Gate Lions Club.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Lion Nisha Kang with Silicon Valley Lions Club. Currently the club treasurer and also co-chair. Cameron is there.
already decided, and we want to talk about our objectives for the day. So we've already defined Lions Club ethics. We'll also be discussing purposes. We're going to review Lions Club's leadership issues. We're going to emphasize the importance of upholding ethical standards and staying true to the Lions Club's mission. We're going to complete a couple of interactive activities, and we're going to review the Lions Code of Ethics. And at last, we're going to recap everything we talked about and open up the floor for questions, answers, and anything that you'd like to bring to the floor. So let's get started with scenario number 1. Club and leadership issues. The scenario is conflict of interest. First area of conflict of interest that sometimes we see is not recusing oneself from a board decision when applicable. B, choosing personal preferences over creating equal opportunities for others to move into leadership positions. Third, or C, commingling of club and other nonprofit entities' finances and reports of clubs by members and non-members. Now, here's some results that I came up with, and what I came up with first was, can you put reputation of club business operations in jeopardy? It can create an appearance of favoritism and conflicts of interest among club members and or leaders. And 3, can compromise decision-making processes and damage relationships within the club. Now, I want to open up the floor. I really want to hear from you about what some of your thoughts are on this situation. Anybody want to comment?
No glare.
Thank you, Jimmy.
It's not just books, your buddies.
Line Denise.
I'm not sure that I understand what you'd like us to comment on, because it seems to me you've got 3 things up there. Do we just get to pick one?
You can pick one or any of them. I just wanted to create an atmosphere to have some discussion. All right?
Okay, well then, what I would say is the recusing yourself from a board or even a club decision, when applicable, used to apply to me quite regularly, because the Daly City Host Lions Club was a huge sponsor of the North Peninsula Food Pantry, and I was the executive director there. And so I always felt that I should not voice or bring any request for funding to them. I always snuck it in through somebody else, but I stayed completely out of that because I never wanted anybody to say, well, we're only giving money to that because Lion Denise is involved. So I think that that would be an example of a way to prevent any kind of a conflict.
Thank you. Any other thoughts? Line Tim?
A nominating committee, for point D there, a nominating committee has the duty to get a board and a group of people involved with a club that are gonna work well together. But again, there's a line there between excluding somebody and, again, there's a line there, working well together, and you gotta balance that out with bringing new people in who maybe you don't know whether you're gonna work as well with. So there's a question there.
Okay, and what is your thoughts?
One of our duties is to train people as leaders and to bring, try to raise people up and bring them into so they have the ability to go into leadership positions.
Absolutely, because we've talked many, many times, and many of you heard me talk about when I visited your clubs about leaders and leadership. And I personally believe that every Lion that we have has leadership skills and are already leading in one form or another, either in their personal lives or in their communities or in their professional careers. With that being said, what is the number one goal of any Lions leader? Anybody have that thought? Lion Mariah?
Have someone ready to take over.
Thank you. Find your replacement. So anytime that we have clubs that aren't willing to step aside or mentor or find that next person, or maybe that quiet lion in the corner that doesn't even know he has a voice yet, then we're doing ourselves and our organization a disservice because we're not creating opportunities for Lions to move up and actually find their place in our organization. Some of our best, most important Lions in this district, if you know some of the Lions stories, are Lions that initially were ready to leave the organization because either they attended their first meeting and nobody welcomed them, or they were fearful and hadn't found their voice yet. So the other thing that hopefully we're going to be doing as Lions leaders is promoting and encouraging people to find their voice and speak their truth. Someone else have their hand up? Let's talk a little bit about commingling a club and another nonprofit entity's finances on reports. Why is that important? And who might that pertain to? Any thoughts? Well, if you are operating as a 501c3, then this definitely falls as something you need to take a look at, right? Because we have to keep our community accounts separate, our nonprofit accounts separate from our administrative accounts. So that really applies to all of us because most of us have two different accounts. So even if you're not a 501c3, it's really important that we pay attention and not commingle donations coming in from the community or mixing our admin accounts with our community accounts. Right? Any other thoughts on this first scenario? Mariah?
Does that also apply if you, for like your 501c3 or community partner going through your 501c3 for donations?
That's a very, very tricky question because I'd say 5 years ago, 10 years ago for sure, that was completely unacceptable. There are some scenarios where that does happen, where it can be more acceptable to be able to support other entities. But I think it's something you have to decide as a group, and it's a very, very slippery slope. So I would not recommend it. I would encourage you to get some very, very clear answers before you make that move. All right, let's move on to scenario number 2. Scenario number 2 is lack of diversity, inclusion, and support. Lack of support by Lions and clubs based on geography, philosophical differences, culture, race, other known and unknown differences, resulting in lack of support of other members, district leadership, events, projects, fundraisers, etc. Any thoughts or comments?
It's here. It's in 4C4. If you want me to be ultimately brave, but I'm not saying any more than that.
Well, we can speak in generalities. What I didn't want this to do is devolve into necessarily going down the rabbit hole and pointing out obvious answers. It's really just designed for us to think and be able to take a look at it and be willing to step up and stand up for what we know is right. Right? So let me ask a question. Is it our ethical responsibility to speak out when we see things that does not follow our basic, most humanistic ideas of ethical practices?
Yes.
All right. Are we also charged to speak up for those that maybe don't have their voice or are sitting in situations where they are not able to speak up for themselves? Okay, so does anyone have an example they want to talk about? Lion Denise.
I'd like to add a caveat to that, though.
Please do.
I think that if there's someone who's not willing to speak up for themselves for whatever reason, shyness, insecurity, whatnot, I don't think that we should speak up for them without having a little short chat with them first. Because if you are speaking up for them, you are representing them, and you want to make sure that they're comfortable with that. Because when you open your mouth, you need to be prepared to get some information back from the other person, good, bad, or indifferent. And the last thing you want to do is hurt the person you're trying to affect.
So then from an ethical standpoint, if I can summarize for you, it's also important for us to be willing to engage those that we see that may have an issue, or if we see some injustice, and check in with that person to find out where they stand and what their needs are so that we can support that need. Is that fair to say? So essentially what we're talking about again is as a Lions community and as a Lions family, we're charged with looking after each other. Some of us have years and years of experience. Some of us may not have much experience, but all of us know the difference between right and wrong. And my belief is if you're standing on the sidelines being complacent when you see something needs to be pointed out, and you're contributing as much to the problem or possibly even expanding on the problem, it's our mission and our duty to be able to call out and speak our truth when we see injustices happening for anyone. And I think it goes a long way towards supporting the organization. Ainuni?
And I think whatever we do, we always should remember that we should do it with kindness. We're lions, we're volunteers. If you have something, an ill feeling about a fellow lion, you should always treat them with kindness, no matter what.
And in your thoughts or feelings about this particular scenario? Let's talk, Lion Mary.
I would also just add that with regard to inclusion, and our club spoke about this a couple of years ago, there's a financial aspect of our commitment as Lions. And so part of sort of that empathy or sympathy is to realize that not everybody comes in at the same level of financial resources. And so if we ground ourselves in the core of what we're supposed to be doing, which is we all want to serve, we should then make accommodations or actually have those conversations to allow folks that may not be able to, whether they uphold their annual membership or just make sure that we build that into creating space for people to come to our clubs.
So that triggers a thought and a really good question I'd like to ask. We have several different clubs in this group. What are some of the things that you do in your club to support maybe financial differences or hardships within your club?
I'll start.
Please do.
We actually, at the beginning of or prior to the next fiscal year, Lion year, we check in with each Lion individually. I know for larger clubs that might have to be a divide and conquer kind of situation, but just to make them aware that there is the annual duty available, and then it's a confidential conversation typically with the president, with that particular member to see whether or not they're in a position to be able to pay their membership dues and how they're doing. If the case is that they're feeling that there's a circumstance that they're not able to, then that goes to the executive committee to have that conversation to see how we can support this Lion to be able to allow them to continue to serve given their circumstance.
Awesome. Thank you. Any other comments? Any other examples? Lion Denise.
We have a couple of members in our club that make monthly payments. Everybody else pays their dues once a year, but they pay monthly because they're on fixed incomes, and that's how the money comes in. So I think that, to me, financial, cultural, race, hair color, eye color, whatever, is all part of inclusion. And I think I'm glad that Lion Mary brought that up, because that's not something we think about, it's something we just do.
I'm Mariah.
Along with that, my own club just recently, at our last board meeting, it came to our attention that one of our charter members is no longer able to make any financial choices, and her family was not ready to pay her dues. And we decided that she's a charter member, and due to her illness that has taken over, that's not a reason to drop her. So we chose to increase, all of the members of the board increase their dues by $10 to cover her dues until she's no longer with us.
Excellent. Thank you.
Cool.
Lion Uni.
Since we have a lot of members in the Philippines, and $100 is a lot of money to them, we have members those who are able, sponsors 1 or 2 members in the Philippines.
Fantastic. So my club has a couple of unique ideas we do, because we're a veterans club, and we too have a lot of veterans that are on fixed income. So we essentially have a scholarship account, and it is a no questions asked policy. Any Lion in our club simply say, I'm struggling with my dues, we pay their dues for a year, no questions asked. One of the other things that we have done is if someone met a medical situation, we met as a board, and the board made a decision to sponsor them for a year until they're able to reconnect and take care of their finances. And what that's done for us is that those members, every single one of them, have come back stronger and not only repaid the club, but paid those dues forward. So we have a very, very large scholarship account. So I encourage you, if you don't have that set up for your members, to please check in with your people. We want to, again, as Lion Mary said, we want to reward and honor our Lions family members. And we hope that finances is never a reason why someone has to leave the organization. Any other thoughts and comments on this particular post? Lion Bunny?
Yeah, sometimes you've got people who have been Lions for so long. There's always that issue of they're struggling with, that's not the way we do things, kind of attitude. I'll give you an example. Recently we had an applicant, somebody wanted to join, and this particular person didn't have the funds to pay the initial fee. And I had suggested that we allow her to pay in installments. And one of the longtime members, this was at a board meeting, said, and this will always stick in my mind, it is our job to help the poor, not to invite them into our house like a locust did in our church. I was astonished.
Wow.
Totally astonished. This is a lion. And there should not be a lion, as far as I'm concerned.
All right,
It
so
makes me want to cry when I hear that.
thank you for bringing that up, Lion Bunny. And so let's have a brief discussion on that. What do we do with, how do we address, how do we move forward with some of our old timers that are really set in the old ways that Lions International used to operate, which was, it was a bunch of businessmen that were fairly well off, and they set their own rules and standards. So what are some of your thoughts, Mike? What might be some of your thoughts on what we're doing in today's Lions Club and why those changes have taken place and why we have to continue to move forward? Anyone? Lion Venetia.
For one thing, women are involved now, and women are empowered to be leaders too. When I first joined my club, there was very few women, and I came in there with great ideas, and all the other elderly people said, you know, we've done that before, didn't work. And I said in my class earlier today, if you do something the same way over and over again, what's going to happen? You're going to get the same result over and over again.
I'm right.
I really like to have people look at our logo. You have a great image right there. There's a reason it has two heads. One is looking to the past and see where we're going, where we've been, but we also need to look forward to see where we can go.
Absolutely. Lion Mary?
So I wanted to go to Lion Bunny's scenario specifically because obviously it's a real situation. And so, you know, as the executive board or whoever you take that to, like, I guess you were in the executive board, is that right? Or this member that made the comment was part of the executive committee, the executive board, is that right? Lion?
Yes, yes.
So, you know, we're faced with, if you present a contradictory scenario to this person that made a meeting, you know what, we need to welcome everybody, what have you. You know, you're faced with possibly losing a member. So what you have to make a decision about, right, because they don't agree with how maybe the majority thinks today. So that's
we got her in.
it's a reality. I don't have a solution for this, or I don't have anything to offer, but it's a scenario where we as Lions are like, okay, well, we're gonna lose a lion versus maybe bringing in a new lion.
So what about the thought that it's still a democratic process, correct? And if we're talking about everyone having a seat at the table and everybody voicing their opinion, both positive and then some that can be very, very disappointing to hear. But hopefully the process is the process, and so you have this one lion that kind of sticks himself on an island and says, I want it to be the old way. But hopefully if you as a club have been moving forward and you're being inclusive and you have freer thinking, more open members and they're the majority, then that one voice won't be able to silence your club. Now, to be perfectly honest, we do have some clubs that still operate that way. We have some clubs that unfortunately can be very, very old school with the same leaders recycling over and over and over again. who are unwilling to open up the possibilities and the opportunities for Lions to actually join leadership, find their voice, move forward, and grow, not only as Lions, but as people. But my hope and our thinking is that if we as a group collectively continue to promote that everyone has a seat at the table, everyone's voice is important, and that their voice is being heard, and then the democratic process is going to be the democratic process. But if we're coaching and educating and letting people know the opportunities available, and that our current international leaders are all about inclusion, are all about changing the world, right? Thinking outside of the box, operating within the guise of kindness matters, then we're going to continue to move forward, and hopefully that group will continue to dissipate, and a group of newer Lions will move forward with the new way of Lions International's thinking. Any other thoughts and comments on this? All right, let's move on. Now, some of the results that I typed up myself were serious exploration of the importance of diversity and inclusions within the club and district, and its impact on our membership, leadership, and community engagement. The other thing I came up with was developing initiatives to promote unity, diversity, and ensure inclusivity within Lions Clubs in our district. So if we're taking the things we've been talking about and we're calling these things out, and we are continue to operate from an ethical standpoint, an inclusive standpoint, and a family type of standpoint, then we can continue to move towards and really promote these particular guidelines. Speaking of new thoughts and ideas, our current international president, Lion Dr. Patty Hill, her theme this year is changing the world. So during our visitations this year, I was very, very happy to share her mission and had an opportunity to spend a lot of time with her. Lion Mariah and I met with her at the Rose Bowl along with Lion Tamara, and I got a full hour before we got on the plane, just having a conversation with International President Patty. And she is an amazing, dynamic leader and really does embrace all things Lions, especially the empowerment of women and young people in our organization. And so, changing the world. This was a direct quote that I found. She had a lot of them, but this one resonated with what we're talking about today. And it says, "The purpose of my life on this earth is to help others achieve their potential. If I'm not doing that, I should be." Does that make sense to everyone in this room? If we're not doing that, then we should be. Right? Please keep that in mind as we move forward, and I hope you'll take that with you. Let's discuss the purposes of Lions Club. Lions Club's mission statement says to empower volunteers to serve their communities, meet humanitarian needs, encourage peace, and promote international understanding through Lions Clubs. How do Lions in our clubs fulfill this purpose through various activities? The floor is open. I want to know what you think. Let's talk a little bit about this. How do Lions in our clubs fulfill this purpose through the various activities that Lions Clubs International offers? Take your time.
One reason that I was drawn to Lions Club in the beginning is with Bago, they're very intentional with being engaged in the communities with locally and in the Philippines, and it's not just one city that they go to. They're involved with where several different members are from, both the members in the Philippines and current members here who go home. It was really moving and inspirational to see how they take on being support and strength for those communities, whether they were physically there or not.
Outstanding. And so, do you feel empowered as a Bago Lion? Is it safe to say you feel very empowered as a Bago Lion? Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. Any other thoughts? What about some of you that haven't really spoken up yet? I'm really interested in what your thoughts might be about our organization. Do you feel empowered within your club? Do you feel empowered as part of District 4C4?
a small room like this, and you don't feel confident enough to say, yes, it's working for me, or no, I'd like to see A happen instead, then we're all not listening properly.
Here's the thing, everybody in this room, if there's something that you do have a question about, this is the time to tell me. As your outgoing governor, one of the things I will be doing is supporting our incoming Governor Lyon Clayton, and it was one of the reasons why we decided to have this class today, was really to be able to talk and open up the floor to hear what your thoughts and concerns might be. What do you see? What are you facing? What are some of the things you'd like to see improve? Okay? As a volunteer organization, are we as leaders doing the things that you expect? What can we improve upon? Lion Emo.
One of the important things is to get members of your club to volunteer for projects. Help them, mentor them. Get them involved. You know, a lot of times they're just afraid to step up. They can really do the job, but they need that encouragement, and they need people to help them. You know, without that encouragement, they're just going to sit back and let everyone else lead.
Now, I do understand that for a lot of people in this room, a lot of you guys aren't facing these problems because we have a lot of really strong clubs represented today. But our mission and your mission is to continue to challenge the leaders in your club to continue to improve and do more, right? To create those opportunities for you. If there's something that you need, whether it's in training or whether it's something that you don't know about, ask. To that end, over there in the parking lot at the bottom, there's my contact information. Everyone knows that as your governor, you have a direct line to contact me. I answer my phone. Take down my number, my email address is there. If you call me, I will answer. And if I don't answer, it's only because I'm in the middle of something else, and I will call you back. Because I believe that leading by example means that we have to be there for all the Lions. And as your governor, that's something I took on personally, even to the detriment, because some of my constituents and some of the people in my cabinet said, Kev, you're really busy, how do you do that? Because it's important in leadership to model the behavior you want to see. I know if I can't get an answer from somewhere else, I'm going to keep calling up the chain of command to get the answer. And so that's why my phone number is available. So all you Lions leaders, I hope that you all too also are making yourselves available to all the members in your charge, and that we continue to lead by example. Now we're going to work on an interactive activity, and it's real simple. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at a case study related to an ethical dilemma faced by a Lions Club. We're going to divide you into small groups. Each table can have a quick conversation. We're only going to spend about 5 minutes talking about it. You can write down some stuff that's your thoughts, and then we're going to have a large group discussion and share some insights on what we're going to discuss right now. Everybody ready?
Ready?
Interactive activity number 1. The scenario is financial mismanagement. Never happens at Lions Club. A past club president brings serious concerns to a meeting and recounts that the sitting club president has been receiving reimbursements from the board of directors, which consisted of newer members who are unfamiliar of their positions. The president acknowledged that without prior approval from the board or the members, he or she attended leadership trainings, district club events, international and district conventions, wrote personal checks for a president discretionary fund that had not been set up, and charged the club for reimbursement. So what I'd like for you to do is each table get together, write down your thoughts about how this could be addressed and some ideas to make those corrections. You don't have paper, you're the cabinet secretary.
It's not my class.
So as I was doing my renewal, I saw most people had notebooks. I apologize for not bringing paper and pen. But even if you don't have paper and pen, I just want you to come up with some thoughts and ideas how this can be addressed. If you have a very strong cabinet secretary, they have no problem calling you out.
I'm not writing for you.
Some clubs have discretionary. Especially That's part of being a volunteer. You want to go to a training. That wasn't cheap. So, we all did it. Well, you went to Valley.
And you see the board? That's why you sit all the way in the back, so you thought it was going to be quiet. You're supposed to be talking. Experienced cabinet secretary. I did it back in
How to address that?
But it has to be a board decision before, oh, yeah.
And before.
Once it does happen, I think you have to bring it in front of the board. Things aren't going to get any better.
What if
It bothers me that he's not I'm just bad because I must have. Your club.
from the board I never used mine. I don't think chlorine was still on my I don't think it's They wrote personal checks for presidents, discretionary funds.
Fell, right?
But not been sent
Fell in the hallway.
charge the club. Talaga kailangan. So,
Yeah.
I saw the parable about the eagle.
She didn't like it, she said something.
hindi pa niya
One night. Well, that's what I said too. I said it out loud. No, I said, oh, yeah, that's how I set my back to.
That's your answer.
That's what you learned in that. It's one of the first things, and you never walk in front of the director. And that
That's the show.
Finally, I went to
All right, if I could have everybody come back to the front, please. I got you guys' attention up front. Tried to extend this for a few minutes because I saw a lot of great conversations and a lot of interaction, which is exactly what we wanted. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go around and ask one person to speak a little bit about what you guys discovered, and then we'll open it up and have a little bit of extended conversation from the floor. Okay, did you guys want to start the first table?
Well, what we came up with is basically this never should have happened to begin with. You have an incoming president, you explain to them that you have to get if you want to be reimbursed for anything, you have to get permission from the board to spend the money before you even spend it, let alone before you reimburse it. So this never should happen in any club ever. If it does happen, you sit down and you discuss it with the president what happened, and you try and resolve the issue. It depends how much it was, it depends sometimes who the president is. But it makes a difference. Personalities make a difference. And it depends on your board if they're going to have the guts to take you, support you, to say this is not allowable, can't happen anymore.
So, were these actions ethical?
No.
So there's the first thing that you're bringing to the table, correct?
Yeah.
These actions are not ethical, on any level. All right, thank you, Lionel. Next table, Anton?
Similarly, not ethical. Similarly, our idea was president-to-president discussion first, see if they can iron it out, figure it out that way, not make a big deal out of it. But if the one not sticking to procedure is in disagreement, you have to make the club aware and make it something more serious.
Thank you.
First of all, we always have to make sure that we always get the approval of the majority of members for anything that is that situation. So, secondly, we have decided that we have to have an auditor. And if ever she's asking for reimbursement, ask her for the documents, see approvals, you know. And maybe if she can't, do anything about it, no approvals, no documents, then probably she can ask the past president to talk to her about it. Auditor is supposed to be independent, so she steps back. This is not a good scenario at all, not ethical. This actually leads to misuse of funds, really. And maybe we could recommend to train the new board of directors. Can we do that?
Excellent, excellent.
Like, tell the higher ups, these board of directors, they're doing something that is probably not their fault because they don't know any better, but you should know that.
Yes.
Thank you. Back table, on the right.
Okay, the first thing that was said was no receipt, no votes, no.
Yes.
And then the next thing that came up, well, how long was this Lion person, the president of Lion, that they didn't get any training? Did they go to any training at all to learn what needed to be done? Did they ever set up a budget? And that's the things that needs to be addressed.
Thank you. Excellent. Next table.
Talk about how ideally the money would be paid back, and if we see the need, we could put a line item in the budget for the upcoming years. That every penny that is spent or reimbursed needs to be approved, and that needs to be in the minutes with the approval recorded by the whole club. We also we're having that very public transparency, including all of the line items in monthly reports for the club.
All right.
Just gonna speak for us. It was about this same issue about, for 3 years I've been president, we're begging for an audit. And nobody on the board will, wants for an audit. Because we're fearful of losing our treasures. And why, I don't know, because I do not think there's any, necessarily think anything's wrong. I just think that we need to know how, some of the specific monies for the individuals are handled. I mean, I don't know who gets paid for what. We don't know in the board. Generally, unless the person who has spent the money talks about it, that it's never brought up. And if you bring it up, it's a big hassle. Because there's always hurt feelings. And nobody wants to.
Yeah, of course.
They don't produce treasury reports.
Pardon?
Treasury report, there should be treasury.
Oh, yeah, but that doesn't necessarily, in the treasurer's report, we don't necessarily see all that. That's maybe one of the other members who have been for a long
The
time.
treasury report should be shared on the monthly reports.
The monthly report, we
Yes,
can't, we
share
don't
that.
necessarily, I never see the checks, I don't,
Can I
Yes,
just
ma'am,
clarify?
right.
I just want to clarify for Bunny, what she's saying is they don't get an expense report.
Yeah.
They get the numbers in and out, but they don't get why or what. They no detail of expenses.
And on top of that, they should produce a treasury report, you know what I mean?
Lima Light, can you put that on the parking lot, please? All right, Lion Asia, last table. Thank you, Lion Bunny.
So, if they are not here full activity, I don't think. they should.
Excuse me, Asia, just a moment. Malay,
Yes.
are you selling eyeglasses?
I am.
Need to check whether the company have a similar, is it usually, if the Lion go to leadership training, will the company usually get, reimburse the member? So that's one thing you need to check, and they may be assuming I will get reimbursed because so-and-so go to the leadership training, get reimbursed, and I'm going there, I expect to be reimbursed for whatever the prior policies set up, They may not ask for this particular time, but if people client may misunderstanding, so-and-so get reimbursed, I should get reimbursed. So you should check on that, whether our company never sponsor any company member for training to reimburse. We just go on using our money, yeah.
All right, so a couple things. This was kind of a trick question because I basically took a bunch of different stuff of things I've seen over my 12 years as a Lion and threw it all in there to trigger this discussion. But there's a couple of things. As a charter president, and many of the Lions in this room know, I paid out of pocket the first 2 years. But my recommendation on my way out as my 2 years as president was that my club set up a discretionary fund for the president to be able to attend all the district functions within the club, except for the convention. You're on your own on that. And so that's what my club adopted, right? And so I've just been able to share that with other Lions. And so it's your club, your way. But what we have here is a lot of great responses from everyone in this room about different things. I heard, make sure your board gets indoctrinated and oriented. That's a big deal. A lot of people get put on the board and they don't even know what that means. They don't even know that the president is not king. He doesn't get to dictate anything. Actually, the president answers to the board. A lot of Lions don't even know that. So really this was about us thinking outside the box so that as you move up in leadership and you go back to your individual clubs, we want to make sure that we're educating all the Lions in our club about how a club functions and operates and upholding those ethics and everything that we do. Okay? And so, again, I put this slide here to remind myself all the things we're going to do, but this group has been so engaged that you pretty much answered everything already. So, what we're going to do is yes, Lion Tim?
I was just gonna say, in the scenario here, that absolutely could have been unethical, and I can see that point. But if the president if they'd always paid for these things in advance, and it was just standard practice, I could see them blindly doing that. But should the board approve those? That's up to the board.
That would be up to the board, but I would think that in most clubs, there is a protocol, there is a standard that clubs do from year to year. What we found in this scenario, in every one of these cases, the club was not informed. The president just acted independently, and these things came up and they had to be addressed.
Well, my action is, I'm gonna make sure every time we get a chance, to make sure that everybody knows that receipts are due on time and pre-approval is absolutely required.
Well, also that your president's trained and needs to find out. And if your president doesn't have a discretionary fund, then he does have the right to check in with his board and membership, and if they approve it, then he gets one. But after the fact, if the club said, no, you're out of pocket, you're out of pocket. When my first year as club president, we went to our first convention, our two people that sponsored all the events went and spent like $300 over their budget. Yep, they had to pay for it out of pocket because we didn't want to set a precedent that it was going to be okay. So as president, I was like, nope, you got to pay for it. Now we let them make payments to repay it because they were on fixed income, but we set a hard line moving forward that all Lions understood. If you go spend over budget and you don't come back and check beforehand and say I'm going to be over budget and ask for support, no, you're going to pay for it out of pocket.
It's a tough decision.
It is a tough decision, but it was the one that we made in the interest of the ethical standard and also to set a precedent moving forward about what we were going to do as Lions. All right, let's quickly move on to number 2. And what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about the Code of Ethics. And we're not going to discuss the Code of Ethics, but I wanted to review them. So, if one person could please read the first one. Can you see it, or do I need to write it for you? Did I make it big enough, Line Denise?
Yeah, big enough.
All right. Line Agent, could you read the first one?
To show my faith in the worthiness of my vocation for industrial application to the end and that I may merit a reputation for quality of service.
Line 10?
To seek success and to demand all fair remuneration or profit as mine just due, but to accept no profit or success at the price of my own self-respect lost because of unfair advantage taken or because of questionable acts on my part.
All right. Line Emo?
To remember that in building up my business, it is not
Necessary.
reasonable to tear down on others, to be loyal to my clients or customers, and to be true to myself.
All right, so I do understand that this font is a little small, so I'm gonna help everybody out now when I go through these, right? Whenever a doubt arises as to the right or ethics of my position or action towards others, to resolve such doubt against myself. To hold friendships as an end and not a means. To hold that true friendships exist not on account of the service performed by one another, but that true friendships demands nothing but accept service in the spirit of which it is given. Always bear in mind my obligations as a citizen to my nation, my state, and my community, and to give them my unswerving loyalty in word, act, and deed. To give them freely of my time, labor, and means. To aid others by giving my sympathy to those in distress, my aid to the weak, and my substance to the needy. And lastly, to be careful with my criticism and liberal with my praise, to build up and not destroy. Now, we're going to basically do this last activity, which is values prioritization exercise. And essentially what I'm asking you to do is this. I want you to list your values upheld by Lions Club. Integrity, excellence, service, leadership, fellowship, collaboration, and innovation. And I'd like for you to prioritize those values based on your personal beliefs and what you think is most essential for Lions Club members. I'm going to give you 3 minutes. Come up with your own list. Which is most important to you and why?
Individually, you said.
Yes. And it's not something you have to make a list of. I just want you to tell me what are the three most things that you value the most that are upheld by Lions Clubs. And I gave you some examples: integrity, excellence, service, leadership, fellowship, collaboration, innovation. What's most important to you and why? All right, this was a quick exercise really to bring us back to where we started, right? And so what's the most important thing is not only our ethics, but also what's most important to you. And so I just want to share with you, for me, this is a no-brainer. It's integrity. Yes. And essentially for me, what integrity means for me is what I'm doing when I'm sitting in Lions and when I'm sitting there being your governor and I'm talking about all the stuff that I know to be able to show you that I know what I'm talking about. That's not the most important thing. For me, the most important thing is, what am I doing when nobody's looking? I'd like to know what some of you think. We're just going to call on 4 or 5 people. Who wants to go first? What's the most important thing to you? Keep it short.
It's 2 things: integrity and service.
Okay, why?
Because it isn't worth anything if you don't have integrity. And the others come along with integrity. You're going to have fellowship, collaboration, and excellence if you have integrity.
Thank
But
you.
you don't have anything.
Excellent, thank you. Anyone else? Madam Light?
I piggyback on Lion Bunny, it's integrity, and that's why, it really bothers me when we have, district leaders or even lions that has no integrity whatsoever.
Right.
And I want, I hope there will be something will be done, and that way it can be corrected, and that way they won't do it again over and over again.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'll echo that. Integrity, service, and leadership, because I think they're all interconnected. With the leadership piece of it, a good leader always motivates, encourages, and inspires. And we've had lions lead lionism because of leaders who do not motivate, encourage, or inspire.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to share their thoughts on how their values line up with Lions and what's most important to them?
I had a view, but I think fellowship is a really valuable thing that we sometimes take for granted these days in our fast-paced environment with all of our technology. Like the time to be together, to build communities together, to support our communities together. Something really beautiful about that, and I think that's going to drive future generations too.
It's a fantastic point, right? Because our meetings, they mean a lot when we're together. Our district meetings mean a lot together. Our convention, which is why we go up and celebrate every year, it gives us a chance to all be together and kind of blow off some steam because we are out there serving, and for 3 or 4 days we get a chance to just unwind a little bit and have some great fellowship and be together and celebrate what it means to be part of the Lions family. Now, are there any other questions or any other items you'd like to discuss at this time? We'll take that as a no.
Thank you.
To conclude, and review our objectives. Objective 1 was to define Lions' ethics and purposes, explore and discuss some scenarios of club and leadership issues, emphasize on the importance of upholding ethical standards and staying true to the Lions' mission, complete interactive activities, discuss personal values in alignment with Lions' values, and of course, an open discussion which we had done. Were we able to accomplish these goals in your opinion?
Yes.
One of my favorite quotes from Dr. Martin Luther King: "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy." I encourage you guys to not run from controversy. I encourage you to embrace everything that you bring to the table as Lions and part of the Lions family, to call out any injustice, whether it's within our clubs, whether it's in the community, or amongst each other in district and international. So again, I want to thank you all for attending today. I hope you learned something. I appreciate all your input. We encourage you to continue the further discussion on ethics and purpose within your club and its members. Thank you for your